All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is March 18th, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. This is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Not to say that the others don't do day trading as well. We concentrate mainly on pretty much short intraday trades. So how I made 2,300, I actually made close to, I think, 2,400. How I made 2,300 out of 49K account, and I only used 10%, so that's 4,900 is 10% of 49K, and my daily goal was 490. That was my daily goal, just 490, which is 1%. All right, so, and of course, you can see I made like 2,400, so I made 4 daily goals today. So that was a rocking good day. Now, yesterday was not so pretty. Remember, I lost $200 yesterday, so it's not a good day. But today kind of really makes up for what happened yesterday. So, I got a few announcements to make first. Tomorrow, for the members, this is the benefits of being a member. We're going to have e-learning, and the topic's going to be trade entries. Okay, so I'm probably going to go over some rubber band candles. All right, I'm going to go over some green erases red, and I'm going to go over some day trading. I'll probably review my 10-minute chart again. That's the one I trade off of, but it's going to seem repetitive, but it will probably help traders with their entries, all right? So be sure to ask questions. So Doug's going to start out at noon. I come in at 1. Rick's going to come in at 2. We're all going to do about probably 50-minute to an hour presentation on trade entries for trading. And that comes in tomorrow, all right? So if you don't see me in the room, I will be in the combo room, and if you want to know how to get there and where to find the videos after they are recorded, I will plunk that up there right now for you. So let's move this over to the right and right here. Okay, so you would go to your member page, so that would be BYOB. Okay, so that's our member page right there. And let's try it again. Oh, I'm not logged in. Give me just a second. I don't know how I got logged out, but I need to log in, so I'm going to log in right now. Got to hide my credentials, so give me a second. Logged in, and it's coming. There it is. Okay, so so you go to your member page right here. Okay, member page, and it looks like this is what your member page looks like. And of course, you log into the trading room. That's the BYOB trading room. If you want to get in the combo learning room, it's right over here. So you just click that, fill in your credentials, and you'll be in the combo room. And it'll look just like the BYOB trading room. A lot of the same things are set up exactly the same. So there it is. And then we record the videos. And if you're looking for those recordings, they're going to be up here in the e-learning replay. And you can see we've got lots of presentations here from different people. You got some from Tex up here. All right. You got some from Ed Carter. Got some from, I think that's Tex. Yep, from Tex. And got one from Jeff Sirkin over in Rick's room. Another one from Tex on money risk. Okay, so there's 10 videos per page, and if you come all the way down here, you'll see, if you can barely see it, but that says 35. So there's 35 pages of 10. That gives you 350 videos right there for learning. So we got you covered if you need to learn on a subject. Just put your search in here, and it'll probably come up in your search, the different videos. And then on top of all that, we've got some public webinars that we did. Okay, and you can see there's, again, 10 pages, 10 videos All right, and you can see 20 pages of 10 videos, another 200 videos right there. Not to mention, if you visit Rick's website, I'm sure he's got probably 10,000 videos. And I'm sure if you visit Doug's website on YouTube, he's probably got 10,000 videos. And I'm sure, if you visit mine, it's probably a bunch of videos, probably 500 to 1,000 videos right there. So plenty of learning to be had here in the Hit and Run Candlesticks family. All right, so that's tomorrow at noon. All right, so if you don't see me, that's where I am. All right, so let's move this out of the way and let's talk about the setups for today. All right, a little bit of preemptive setups. Let's start with, what we're going to do. We're going to review Monday. All right, for the people out there in video land that don't have a subscription, that are missing out on all the good stuff, because you guys all had the good stuff this morning. And here's the first good stuff right here. All right, so this was given to the traders on Monday morning. All right, before price hit 671.40. And you can see I said I'd plan to trade a continuation of the SPY 10-minute uptrend right up to target 1. And if then it consolidated over the anchored VWAP line, I would look for target 2. So just want to review it so you can see what you're missing out on. Okay, so price gapped up. That's bullish. And then we went into a 10-minute uptrend. So I said I wanted to trade the 10-minute uptrend. So we bought the 10-minute uptrend as price ripped right through there. Nice candle on the 10-minute chart. All right. And the high right there, right here, right there. It happened within 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. In 60 minutes, all right, we hit 60. That's QQQ. Okay, so within 60 minutes we hit, or actually take it back 50 minutes. Okay, we hit our high of, you can see it right there. The high says 671.40, which is pretty much what I said we'd go to. That was my first target, so I nailed that right out of the gate. All right, and then price went sideways from there. Just nothing but chop. Back and forth over VWAP, nothing but chop, chop, chop. And then they set up an inverse head and shoulders, that being the head, left shoulder, right shoulder. And then we ripped up again, got another 10-minute uptrend the following day. This is Tuesday. Okay, so we'll go over Tuesdays. And Tuesday is this one right here. Okay, so on Tuesday, if you were in the room, you got to see I had a target of 673.40, second target 675. This was given to traders long before price got even close to any of these numbers right there. Again, I was looking at trading a continuation of, yes, that magical 10-minute uptrend all over again. It's like deja vu, right? So we traded 10-minute uptrend, and you can see price ripped all the way to the first number. This would be day 2. This is Tuesday. Okay, so you can see the high there was 673.93. And remember, my first target was 673.40. Second target was 675, and we did not get it. All right, but we did get pretty darn close. 644. You can see the high there, 644.44, and we never went back after the 675. Okay, so this morning when price opened up early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning, you can see price went all the way up to that 675 number, which I pretty much called out. See, almost up there. Well, in the overnight session, it was definitely up there in the 675. And you can see we're touching this downtrend line. Okay, now if you were a day trader in these 2 months here earlier, okay, I'm going to talk about the price action. Every time price came down to this 680, 677 area right through here, we had $10 rips coming off of here. So if you landed here at the end of the day, the next day, you probably gapped up or you ripped for $10 on a bounce. And then you rip for $10 on a bounce. And then again, another $10 on a bounce. So several big bounces. Another one right here where we got underneath it and we still ripped for $10 for a bounce, okay? Now you can see they're not doing that anymore, all right? But you can see we have a downtrend line. Nothing magical about that downtrend line. All it is me stringing the tippy tops of these peaks together into a line, and you can see price action came up there in the overnight session, and then we rolled over. I was looking for, and I said this early in the morning, if you want to go back to the video and check it out, I said I would be looking for a $10 drop or maybe even a $20 drop, okay? Because those $10 bounces are gone. So on the way down, the moves are much, much more exciting. So you can see right here, we came from 674, 775 in the pre-market, clear down to 660. So almost $15 drop right there from those pre-market highs over there. Pretty much just like I called it. Again, SPY on the 30-minute, all right? Got a 10-minute, and I said, and if you want to know what I printed up this morning, I've got that plaque as well. And this morning, we printed up, this was the plaque for this morning. I plan to trade a continuation of the SPY. Oh, there's that 10-minute chart all over again. 10-minute downtrend to target 1, 667.90, and then target 2, 663. Well, look at this, traders, okay? Here we come in the pre-market all the way down here to 667, I think I said 90 right here. So we actually hit this in the pre-market, and then in the open market, you can see clearly we made it to 663, which would have been the gap fill, all right? So we had a bullish gap, remember, on Monday, and another bullish gap on Tuesday, and then price kind of came back, no bullish gap today, okay? So price came down and flushed, all right, underneath here. So there's SPY on the 30-minute chart, just to explain all 3 days in a row, all right? You know, the traders in the room here are getting some good wins, all right? Let me just say this morning, there was a lot of good winning going on because in the room I asked them if they were happy with the trading, and they were very happy. So that makes for a nice day. So we had FOMC today. That made it kind of wonky because for me, I kind of went flat here, and I probably could have stayed with a 10-minute downtrend. It never really kind of broke up a little bit, but it got a little flat where we had some decay in there, and then finally we had this huge flush to the downside right there. So there's 10-minute downtrend right there, right after FOMC, and could have traded that all the way down to, look at this, 660. All right, so there's SPY. So into the close. All right, enough about the plaques and the directions. All right, but we got 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. All right, there's probably a good chance that we gap down tomorrow, probably to 655, and probably trade down $5 more into that 650 area. All right, that's kind of what I'm expecting. We'll see what happens. And I would be expecting to trade again another continuation of the 10-minute downtrend on the 2-hour chart. Okay, so we've got the 3 and the sticks, excuse me, are riding underneath the 8 EMA. So we got, you can see clearly we got daylight. All right, daylight between the yellow 3 EMA and the white 8 EMA right here. So daylight. So that is a 2-hour downtrend. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take that off. Don't need them anymore. Take that off. Downtrend line stays. So 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Daily chart. big red candle. So looks like bearish engulfing. Okay, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing underneath, bearish trap. Okay, see the sticks in the 3 plotting underneath the falling 8. So downtrend, you got daylight right there between the 3 and the 8. So daily downtrend right there. And you can see closing below the bearish trap, closing below the downtrend line, that's the green line, closing below, see the red dots, the 17 EMA right there. And if we look at that with the quadrant lines on it right here, okay, back way out. I'm going to back way out here. Okay, I'm going to pull this down just a little bit. Okay, so here's April. This is the origin of our rally. See how we go up and over to the right. So we're still in quadrant 4. So that's bullish. Anytime we're in the upper third, that's bullish on the quad lines, okay? But definitely we're in a downtrend because we're making lower highs and lower lows. So downtrend, but still bullish, okay? Now, eventually there'll be a time when price will bounce. And it'll probably be right here at this double bottom. They will probably bounce it right there. If they don't bounce it there, they're going to come down to probably this area right here, 673. 637. Okay, 637. Probably get a bounce there. All right, but I would expect a bounce at the big fat hole round number 650. So I would probably bet we bounce $10 right there. All right, so we'll see what happens. All right, so there's SPY on the daily. Again, we are in a downtrend. All right, so we're bullish but in a downtrend currently. All right, so there's SPY. On the weekly time frame, you can see clearly we're bullish, still in an uptrend. We haven't made any lower lows yet. Okay, and on the monthly chart, we're still bullish. Again, we haven't made any lower lows yet. All right, so there's weekly and monthly still bullish and in uptrends. Daily, still bullish, but in a downtrend. Okay, 2-hour downtrend. Let's take a look at QQQ. Oh, I just want to point this out, all right, for everybody out there in video land. Okay, one of our members here, John, also posts a game plan every day. All right, and it's a game plan not to be missed. Right here, where he gives levels and instructions: buy above such and such, pivot bullish above, sell below, see 598.45, and I'll bet we got below. I just want to point out, he does this every day. All right, and thank you, John, for providing that and sharing that with us. All right, so we're going to go to QQQ right now, so you'll be able to look at that. Okay, you can see on John's chart here, he wrote up sell below right here, sell below 598.45. Okay, so you're going to see you would have made money if you followed John's chart too. Okay, yeah, look at that, 598.45. Okay, obviously we're down here 593. So obviously you made money selling below 598.45. It's a $5 drop if you follow John's chart. Okay, not only do I give instructions, but you can see other people share their trades as well. So, thank you, John. Again, appreciate that. All right, so there's QQQ. All right, let's start with the 10-minute. All right, and on the 10-minute, we've got 10-minute downtrend. You can see 10-minute chart. You can see the sticks and the 3 plotting below the falling 8. You got daylight between the 3 and the 8, so that's a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. On the 2-hour chart, okay, you've got the sticks and the 3. That's the yellow line right here, plotting underneath the white line. That's the 8 EMA. You got daylight, all right, between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. So you got 2-hour chart, 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Okay, on the daily chart, what do we got? No, still haven't made a lower low yet. Isn't that interesting? All right, but anyways, okay, for today, we've got an outside day, bearish engulfing. You can see higher high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish trap. Closing, see the dots, that's the 17 EMA. When price is above it, closes above it, it's green. When price closes below it, it's red. So you can see price closed below it, so it's red. So we're closing underneath the 17 EMA. There's the red dot right there, barely visible with the red candle, but underneath, so that's under the 17, under the trap. And let's take a look at it with the scratch, the quad lines on there. And I'll back way out. This is the origin of our rally, April. We go up and over to the right. So we're still bullish. We're still in the upper third of the quad line. So we're still bullish. And believe it or not, QQQ, even with today's being the day, all right, did not make a lower low. Okay, we did not make a lower low yet on QQQ on the daily chart. So we're still in the I'm going to call it a dysfunctional uptrend, because right after this high right here, beat out those two highs right there to make a higher high. We have not moved higher. We've only moved to the right or melted down. Okay, so I'm going to call it a dysfunctional uptrend. Okay, and you can see price action. This would be the pink line. That is the all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see price closing below that. Below this green line, that's an uptrend line. All I did, nothing special, just stringing these lows together into a line. We're under that uptrend line. So we're still bullish because we're in the upper third. Remember, this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, up here, middle of quadrant 4, and still in that dysfunctional uptrend in that price is not moving up. So there's QQQ. Weekly chart, still bullish and in an uptrend. You can see here's April. That is the origin of our rally from last year. Okay, and then monthly chart, see all the green dots? Okay, again, April of last year, up and over to the right. Still bullish and in an uptrend. On the weekly and the monthly and even the daily, it's a dysfunctional uptrend on the daily. But it is an uptrend, so there's QQQ. Let's take a look at IWM. See what we got going on there. IWM, bearish engulfing, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap. You can see the daylight between the 3 and the 8. Closing under the bearish trap, closing under the falling 17, closing under the pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP. I'm going to zoom way out. There's the origin, same place, April, up, all right, and then over to the right. Still in the upper third here, so we're still bullish, but we're in a downtrend, obviously, because we have not made any higher highs. We've got an all-time low. You can see we made a lower high right there. We have a low here, and we made lower lows, so lower highs and lower lows. Downtrend, but still bullish because we're in the upper third. That's IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow coming dangerously close to falling out of the upper third. I'm going to tell you, anywhere below these candles here, and I'm going to say you're not in the upper third anymore. All right, but anyways, okay, here's the origin of our rally. Everybody, all the indexes, they start in April. They go up and over to the right. Okay, so here's today's candle. It's a lower high, not an outside day. It's a lower high and a lower low, closing below the bearish trap. Okay, you can see the daylight between the 3 and the 8. So we got a daily downtrend right there. So closing below a bearish trap, closing below, see the red dots, how they fall, below a falling 17 EMA, below the pink line, the all-time high anchored VWAP. Barely holding on to the upper third, barely right there on Diamond Dow. So I'm going to call it bullish, all right? Anywhere below that, and I'm going to have to say it's neutral. So bullish and in a downtrend, Okay, that's a downtrend that's actually moving down. Okay, as opposed to a dysfunctional downtrend. Okay, so there's Diamond Dow. We just did IWM. Let's take a look at Stinker. All right, here's Stinker doing, I think that's a lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, closing under the flat 17 EMA right there, closing underneath. I'm going to zoom way out so you can see all of this. This is the all-time low. This is the all-time high. So closing underneath the all-time high, anchored VWAP, that's the pink line. Now notice we're not in the upper third, so we're definitely not bullish. And we're not in the lower third, so we're not bearish. Okay, so we're in the middle, so we're neutral. But this is the midpoint. This is the 50-yard line. You would say if price was above the 50-yard line, you would say the bulls were in charge or have control. And if price was below the 50-yard line, you would say that the bears have control right here. So kind of bearish neutral. All right, so there's FNGU, and that is neutral. And they are in a now, let's see what we got here. They have not made higher highs yet, okay? Not made any higher highs. So they're in a downtrend. So they're in one of those dysfunctional downtrends in that after making the lower low here, after making the lower low, they have done nothing but move to the right or melt up. So there's neutral, bearish neutral on Stinker. And still in a downtrend right there. Okay, so there's Stinker. Let's take a look at silver and gold. Silver is a lower high and a lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap, closing underneath the 17, closing underneath the pink line. It's the all-time high anchored VWAP. And I'll zoom way out so you can see the origin of this move, which happens to be back in 2022. This is the low up to the all-time high up here. So we are not in the upper third, so we're neutral because we're not in the upper third. All right, so we're neutral, and we made a lower low, so we're in a downtrend right now on silver. Neutral and in a downtrend. That actually is moving down. Gold is well, there's a low here. They're in a downtrend as well. See, they got a low that pokes below the 17. So they got a peak, a low, and then a peak. All right, so that's downtrend. They clearly made a lower low. You can see today's candles, a lower high, a lower low, closing under a bearish trap, closing underneath the flat 17. That's all the dots, closing underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. We're in the upper, same thing on gold back in 2023, okay, or 2022 right here, same spot pretty much. Gold, that's the low to the all-time high up here. So we're bullish and in a downtrend because we made lower lows. See, we got a low here and we made lower lows. So we're in a downtrend on gold. All right, let's take a look at USO. High flyer here, doing a little breakout from the launch pad. Kind of mentioned that this morning if you listen to the video. Okay, price action is, looks like, well, the low, 116, the low, 116.07. So lower low, higher high, close outside day, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17, top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. All right, and in an uptrend. All right, and this right here is the 4-year high. This is a post-COVID rally. Okay, right after COVID, we had a big rally. That's the COVID rally high right there. And ever since making the COVID rally high, they have not been able to get back up there in 3 to 4 years. See that? That's a 4-year high anchored VWAP, that pink line. Okay, but that's what geopolitical conflicts will give you right there. Okay, so there's USO. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG having a fabulous day. I did try to get some of this. I couldn't get filled at the bid. And that's what you get for waiting for the bid. Outside day, higher high, lower low, closing over a bullish cross over the 17. Still in a downtrend. They haven't made a higher high. You can see they got a high here and they got a low here. They made a lower low, so they're in a downtrend on UNG. And I'll zoom way out. This is a 12-month high. You can see March right here. 12-month high anchored VWAP. Okay, not an all-time high, just a 12-month high. That pink line. You can see in 12 months they struggled to close candles above it, and when they did, they could not hold the higher ground. All right, that's a lot of weakness. So this is bearish. Okay, it's really weak. All right, today not so much, but it's down in quadrant 1, so it's bearish. This happens to be the all-time low right here. Okay, so if you wanted to see the all-time high, this is crazy. All right, it's like 8,000. See that? That's the all-time high. I mean, so we're just using like a piece of a piece of a piece of the pie, you know, as an anchored VWAP on the daily chart. All right, you can see clearly we're not setting the bar that high, okay? And they still can't get over it. All right, so here's downtrend, making the lower low, and bearish in quadrant 1, right? Okay, and underneath that all-time high anchored VWAP. See, they're in the lower third, so they're bearish. All right, so that's UNG. Let's take a look at, we did USO. Let's take a look at technicals, T2101. Market came south, and we lost some participation. But as we started to pick up steam, we gained some participation right there, okay, at the end of the day, while the market was picking up steam heading to the downside. So I imagine we'll get a lot more participation tomorrow with that thing choo-choo training all the way down towards 650 and to those 3-4 month lows. So there's T2101. That's bearish, by the way, okay, if you didn't know it, because we're moving down and participation is increasing. Okay, not a good sign. Not a good sign for the bulls. Okay, so today, T2122. Okay, so after the good news was we made higher highs. See the high from the 16th? Well, the 17th made a higher high. Okay, right there. But the 18th, not so much. All right, we got lost in the mix. Again, both days, the 16th and the 17th, see how we got up over the midpoint? All right, showing us bearish control because the bears kept pushing it back under the midpoint right here, showing you bearish control. Got up over the midpoint, pushed back to end the close the day under the midpoint. Okay, so the bears definitely have the ball. They've been pushing it around. Bulls had it for a moment, and then they fumbled, and you can see clearly now the bears have it, and they pushed it down under the midfield here. All right, mid-court 50-yard line right there. So we closed. All right, so we came all the way down here into the sell zone, made a brief appearance in the oversold zone. So we may spend all day down here tomorrow, or maybe just half the morning, and then maybe ramp up. Maybe we bounce. I don't know. I think we're going to 650 on SPY at least. We'll see. Okay, so there's T2122, T2123, more melting to the downside. You can see we have a low. We have the all-time high, which happens to be right there. That's the all-time high for T2123. And you can see we had a low. We made lower lows, so we're in a downtrend until we make a higher high. We're still in a downtrend. So you can see price is quickly, oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, so we got right here, that's the all-time high. So we got a low, and we're making lower lows, and you can see we're making lower highs, and we're making lower lows. So this is a downtrend. We're under the falling 200 SMA, that's bearish. It's not where you want to be if you're a bull, is under that falling 200 SMA. Okay, so there's price action T2123. bearish and in a downtrend. From the all-time highs, look where it is. It's at the very bottom of quadrant 1. So that's bearish. Okay, I don't know how you spin it, but that's bearish. On the 15-minute chart, bearish and in a downtrend. 3-bar chart, T2123, notice it's the same product, just different look at it. Okay, so here's a bigger time frame. Okay, so here we go with T2123, and this was an all-time high. And then we pull back to, remember that April rally? Well, here's the beginning of the April rally, and we go up, and you can see there's a high. We clearly make a higher high, so we make a new all-time high. We pull back, all right? Do a 2-3 month pullback right here, 6-month pullback, make a higher low, and then we rip to another new all-time high. All right, so this is the 3-bar chart. So you can see on the 3-bar chart, I already pointed this out earlier, there's a low, and we're making lower lows. So 3-bar chart's in a downtrend as well as the 15. Difference is the 15-minute is under the falling 200 SMA. 3-bar chart is above the rising 200 SMA. So that's where you want to be if you're a bull. Okay, the problem is we're kind of moving in the wrong direction here. Okay, so we're in a downtrend currently, but we're still bullish. See, I'll zoom out. Remember, this is the origin of the trade. We're in the quadrant 4, that's bullish. All right, but currently in a downtrend. That's T2123. Here's the last one. This is Stinker. This is FNGU on the 15-minute. And you can see here's today, the 18th. Okay, so Stinker makes a, well, there's a high. We made a higher high, so we're in an uptrend. But wait, okay, but wait. Here's a low. And we make a lower low, so we're in a downtrend. So they left the day in a 15-minute downtrend. They are under the flat 200 SMA. So that's bearish. That's the bearish side of the 200. You want to be on this if you're going to be a bull. So they're bearish on this side of the 200 SMA. Okay, and then you can see we're under the pink line. That's the all-time high. Anchored VWAP, so bearish and in a downtrend. So from making the all-time highs, we're going to take some quad lines, put them in there. Okay, let's drag them all the way over. You can see we're in quadrant 1. See down here, this all-time high way up there. We're in quadrant 1, so we're bearish and in a downtrend. Now, if I take it from the pullback low, just for kicks, just to see what that looks like. Okay, so here's the pullback low, and there's the FNGU Stinker rally up. Still not even bullish, because we're not even in the upper third. See how we're in the neutral area. All right, so just neutral right there, okay? And then a downtrend, all right? So that's Stinker. That's it for me, all right? I'm out of breath. I will see you guys all tomorrow, all right, at 8 o'clock, and we'll do it again, all right? Hopefully we'll do it again, all right? Robert asked a question, where do you find these videos from the e-learning? Oh, I thought, did you see it? Yes, thank you, Alan. Thank you. Thank you for feeding us and sharing with us the economic data. Appreciate that. Love that. And Tech shares the GEX charts, the gamma exposure. Thank you for sharing those as well as explaining the gamma exposure as well, okay? So over here, Robert, if you didn't see it, resources, go to your member page, okay? And you just, right underneath log out, you come over to resources, scoot down, e-learning replay right there. Click that, and there's a video by Tex. You just saw Tex. This is him right here, and he's in the room. He got it. All right, so he got it. That's great. Okay, all right, traders. That's it for me. All right. Hope you had a good day. Hope you traded that downtrend. All right. I will see you all tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll do it again. Thanks. Have a great night. wait. Robert's got a question. He says, John C3, I think he meant month SPY. Is this where you could enter the SPY puts? He was typing fast. Yes. Yes. Yes, those would be the spots to enter those SPY. Or you could do, or that's one place to enter. All right, but you need kind of like to have confirmation. All right, so sometimes you could look at that, and when you see on that's a, yeah, this is for today. Yes, you could have bought puts there, and there, or you could have waited for, this was for today's price action because I see he's on a 3-minute chart. You could have waited for red erases green. Okay, so you can see you've got a plateau or a cradle right here. So below that cradle, which I pretty much wrote on the screen, below this cradle, I want puts. And that would be a true red erases green entry right there, below the cradle, or below this, see this little bounce here, below that red candle, that would be a great one. Or you could buy the top up here and trust that the VWAP is going to hold price underneath it. Either way, this is more risk. This has confirmation, and it still offers some risk because there's no guarantee once it gets under here it's going to fall. As you can see, it came underneath and it didn't fall here. It actually made a trip back to VWAP right there. So, but yes, all different spots you could have entered puts to the downside. Anytime you see red erases green, right there. Whenever you see some green candles and then the red ones come through and wipe them out, all right, then there you go. That's a place to enter. All right. And I think 3 p.m. 3 p.m. was confirmation. I'll look at 3 minutes for entries for SPY puts. Yeah, all of those would be entries, and you had green erases red right here. Well, yeah, 3 p.m. Yeah, 3 p.m. Right after 2:30. You kind of want it to be flat between 2 and 2:30 because you never know what the Fed's going to do. So this was kind of wonky here, but after you see green erases red right here, you could have entered right underneath this. Okay, before 3, just before 3, right there. But you had a nice drop still, even with 664, clear down to almost 659, 660 right there. But this morning was good. I know you caught some this morning with that 10-minute downtrend. We traded that continuation of the morning 10-minute downtrend. Yep. So yeah, about 2:35, 3 o'clock. Yep. A little bit of back and forth, but it was still underneath the cradle. You're welcome. Thanks, traders. Again, tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Thank you so much.